Top 20 Contract Manager Interview Questions and Answers. Prepare for success with our expertly curated Top 20 Contract Manager Interview Questions and Answers guide, designed to boost your confidence and showcase your skills in contract negotiation, compliance, and lifecycle management. 1. Can you describe your experience with Contract Lifecycle Management, CLM? I have extensive experience managing the entire contract lifecycle, from initiation and drafting through negotiation, execution, performance tracking, and closeout. I ensure alignment with corporate policies and compliance standards at each stage. I've implemented CLM tools to automate workflows, reduce errors, and accelerate approvals. My approach includes working closely with stakeholders to define contract needs, ensuring timely renewals, and minimizing risks. My background includes managing complex contracts across procurement, sales, and service agreements, which has sharpened my ability to oversee multiple contracts simultaneously while ensuring efficient and compliant lifecycle management practices. 2. What types of contracts have you managed in your previous roles? I've managed a wide range of contracts, including procurement agreements, sales contracts, non-disclosure agreements, NDAS, service-level agreements, SLAS, licensing agreements, and consultancy contracts. Each required a tailored approach depending on scope, risk profile, and regulatory considerations. For procurement, I ensured vendor compliance and delivery terms. For sales and service contracts, I focused on performance metrics, pricing, and legal protections. I've also managed international agreements involving currency and jurisdiction complexities. My experience spans both standardized and customized contracts, allowing me to adapt effectively to different business environments and ensure contracts support strategic and operational goals. 3. How do you ensure compliance with contractual obligations and regulatory requirements? I ensure compliance by implementing a structured contract governance process. This includes maintaining a centralized contract repository for easy access and auditability, using checklists to verify all legal and regulatory clauses, and setting up compliance tracking tools to monitor obligations and deadlines. I work closely with legal and compliance teams to stay updated on changes in laws and regulations. Regular training and briefings for internal stakeholders also help maintain awareness of contract terms. I use calendar alerts and dashboards to monitor performance and trigger reminders for key actions, ensuring timely compliance and avoiding penalties or breaches. 4. What contract management software or tools are you familiar with? I have hands-on experience with several CLM tools including SAP Ariba, DocuSign CLM, Coupa, and iCertis. These tools help automate contract creation, approval workflows, e-signatures, compliance monitoring, and performance tracking. With SAP Ariba, I managed sourcing and procurement contracts, while DocuSign allowed efficient e-signature workflows and storage. Coupa enabled supplier collaboration and spend visibility. iCertis helped with advanced risk and obligation management. Additionally, I've used SharePoint and Excel for contract tracking in less complex environments. My experience with these tools has improved contract visibility, reduced cycle times, and enhanced collaboration across legal, finance, and procurement teams. 5. How do you handle contract renewals, amendments, and terminations? I manage renewals by setting automated alerts for upcoming expirations and initiating stakeholder discussions in advance. Amendments are handled through formal change control procedures to ensure clarity, traceability, and mutual agreement. I document all modifications with appropriate approvals. For terminations, I review contract clauses to ensure compliance with notice periods and exit terms, mitigating legal and financial exposure. I coordinate with legal and operational teams to manage transitions smoothly and avoid service disruptions. Maintaining an updated contract repository and workflow tools helps me streamline these processes and ensure all actions are documented and auditable. 6. Describe your approach to contract negotiations. I approach negotiations with thorough preparation, understanding both my organization's goals and the counterparty's interests. I collaborate with stakeholders to define priorities and acceptable trade-offs. During discussions, I aim for a win-win outcome while protecting key legal and commercial terms. I remain calm, professional, and data-driven, using market benchmarks and risk assessments to support our position. I also consult with legal teams to ensure compliance and minimize liability. I document all discussion points and decisions to maintain transparency. My negotiation style is strategic yet flexible, balancing assertiveness with cooperation to achieve favorable terms. 7. What strategies do you use to mitigate risks in contracts? To mitigate risks, I begin with a thorough risk assessment during contract review, identifying clauses that could expose the organization to liability. I ensure clear definitions of scope, responsibilities, and deliverables. I negotiate strong indemnity, limitation of liability, and termination clauses. I also incorporate service level agreements, SLAS, and performance benchmarks. Escalation procedures are clearly defined to handle disputes. I work with legal to ensure alignment with regulatory requirements and implement monitoring tools to track compliance. Post-execution, I regularly review performance and obligations to detect and address potential issues early, reducing risk throughout the contract term. 8. Have you ever dealt with a breach of contract? How did you resolve it? Yes, in one case, a vendor failed to deliver services as per the agreed timeline. I reviewed the contract to identify breach terms and documented the performance gaps. I then facilitated a formal discussion with the vendor to address the issue, highlighting the potential consequences and contractual penalties. We agreed on a corrective action plan and revised the delivery schedule under an amendment. I also worked with legal to send a written notice to ensure formal compliance. The issue was resolved without litigation. I documented lessons learned and introduced stricter monitoring protocols to prevent recurrence. 9. How do you handle disputes between parties in a contract? When disputes arise, I start by reviewing the contract terms and identifying the specific areas of contention. I aim for early resolution through open, fact-based discussions involving all parties. I act as a neutral facilitator, ensuring both sides are heard and understand their obligations. If informal resolution fails, I escalate according to the dispute resolution clause, whether through mediation, arbitration, or legal consultation. My goal is always to preserve business relationships while protecting company interests. I ensure all actions are documented and any agreements are formally amended in the contract, maintaining transparency and enforceability. 10. What key clauses do you pay the most attention to in a contract? I closely review clauses such as indemnification, limitation of liability, termination rights, confidentiality, payment terms, and service levels, SLAS. These clauses carry significant financial and operational implications. Indemnification protects the company from third-party claims, while liability clauses cap potential losses. Termination clauses determine exit flexibility and associated penalties. Confidentiality ensures sensitive information is protected, and SLAS define performance expectations and remedies. I also focus on governing law, dispute resolution, and compliance-related provisions to avoid regulatory issues. I consult with legal and business stakeholders to align on acceptable terms and negotiate changes where necessary. 11. How do you collaborate with legal, finance, and procurement teams during contract reviews? I facilitate collaboration by involving legal, finance, and procurement teams early in the contract lifecycle. I ensure each team reviews the relevant sections, legal for compliance and risk, finance for pricing and payment terms, and procurement for vendor terms and SLAs. I organize review meetings to align on positions and resolve any concerns before finalization. I track feedback using version control and centralized documentation. My role is to bridge communication gaps, clarify objectives, and keep the review process timely and thorough. This cross-functional approach ensures contracts meet strategic goals, mitigate risks, and align with company policies. 12. Can you give an example of a time you had to manage a difficult vendor or client during contract discussions? Yes, I once managed a vendor who resisted including liability limitations and audit rights in the contract. I acknowledge their concerns while explaining our company's compliance and risk requirements. By providing examples from similar agreements and showing flexibility in other areas like payment terms, I created a cooperative environment. I also scheduled a joint meeting with our legal team to explain our regulatory obligations. After several rounds of negotiation, we reached an agreement that protected both parties' interests. This experience taught me the value of patience, transparency, and framing negotiations as collaborative problem-solving. 13. How do you ensure internal stakeholders understand their contractual responsibilities? I ensure understanding by organizing contract handover sessions where I walk internal stakeholders through key clauses, deliverables, and deadlines. I provide executive summaries that highlight obligations, milestones, and compliance requirements. For complex contracts, I prepare responsibility matrices showing which department owns which obligation. I also set automated reminders and follow-ups to ensure timely execution. Training sessions and Q&A meetings are held periodically for major contract types. By making contracts accessible and understandable, I improve accountability and help avoid misunderstandings or breaches. Clear documentation and ongoing support ensure teams can confidently meet their contractual responsibilities. 14. How do you track contract performance and key milestones? I use contract management tools to set alerts for key milestones such as deliverables, renewal dates, and payment schedules. Dashboards and KPIs help monitor ongoing performance against contract terms. I also maintain trackers for high-value or high-risk contracts, logging status updates and issues. Regular performance reviews with vendors or internal teams allow for timely intervention if goals aren't met. I document any deviations and initiate corrective action plans where needed. This proactive approach ensures visibility, accountability, and continuous improvement throughout the contract lifecycle, helping avoid penalties and ensure successful contract execution. 15. Have you ever improved the contract management process? What was the outcome? Yes, at a previous company, I led an initiative to centralize all contracts into a digital repository with automated alerts for renewals and compliance deadlines. Previously, contracts were scattered across departments, leading to missed obligations and renewals. I also developed standardized templates and checklists to streamline the drafting and review process. As a result, we reduced contract cycle time by 35%, improved compliance monitoring, and increased visibility for stakeholders. The improved process enhanced efficiency, reduced legal risks, and allowed us to make more informed business decisions. It also received positive feedback from cross-functional teams. 16. What metrics or KPIs do you use to measure contract management success? Key metrics I track include contract cycle time, renewal and expiration tracking accuracy, compliance rates, number of disputes or breaches, cost savings from renegotiations, and vendor performance ratings. I also monitor the percentage of contracts using standard templates, audit findings, and user satisfaction scores. These KPIs help identify process bottlenecks, enforce accountability, and drive continuous improvement. For example, if renewal compliance drops, I investigate root causes and adjust workflows or training. Measuring contract performance through these metrics allows me to align contract management with business goals and demonstrate value to leadership. 17. Scenario-based and behavioral questions. When presented with scenario-based questions, I draw on real-world experiences that demonstrate my problem-solving skills, adaptability, and professionalism. I follow the STAR method, situation, task, action, and result, to structure responses clearly. Whether it's resolving a breach, negotiating tough terms, or balancing competing deadlines, I focus on how I analyze the issue, collaborated with others, and achieve a positive outcome. These questions test more than knowledge, they show how I apply expertise under pressure. I ensure my answers reflect a proactive mindset, strategic thinking, and the ability to navigate complex situations while upholding contractual and organizational goals. 18. A vendor is refusing to agree to your company's standard terms. How would you handle this situation? I would first understand the vendor's objections and assess whether the requested changes pose unacceptable risk. I'd review their concerns with legal and relevant stakeholders to identify possible compromises. Often, alternative language or limited exceptions can meet both parties' needs. I focus on the core objectives, protecting company interests while fostering a workable relationship. If needed, I escalate critical issues to legal leadership or propose conditional acceptance tied to performance guarantees. Throughout, I document negotiations and maintain a collaborative tone. My goal is to reach a fair, compliant agreement without jeopardizing the deal or business relationship. 19. A critical contract deadline is approaching, but the legal team hasn't reviewed it yet. What would you do? I would immediately escalate the issue to the legal team's leadership, explaining the urgency and potential business impact. I'd provide a summary of key contract terms and highlight any known risks to assist in a quick review. Simultaneously, I'd prepare stakeholders for possible deadline adjustments and explore temporary workarounds, such as an interim agreement, if needed. I remain calm and solution-focused, working to minimize delays without compromising compliance. If this is a recurring issue, I recommend improving the review process with earlier involvement and deadline visibility, ensuring such situations are prevented in the future. 20. Describe a time when you identified a cost-saving opportunity through contract renegotiation. While reviewing a vendor's multi-year service contract, I noticed underutilized features and services. I analyzed usage data and initiated a renegotiation to remove unnecessary components and adjust pricing based on actual needs. I proposed a revised scope and demonstrated the potential savings with supporting data. The vendor agreed to restructure the contract, resulting in a 20% annual cost reduction. This also improved contract flexibility and aligned services with evolving business requirements. The renegotiation was seen as a success across departments and highlighted the value of regular contract reviews for identifying optimization and cost-saving opportunities. Thank you for exploring the top 20 contract manager interview questions and answers. With these insights, you're better equipped to excel in interviews, demonstrate your expertise, and stand out to employers. Stay prepared, stay confident, and best of luck on your journey to becoming a successful contract manager.